Say good morning to our co-host on the day. The Admiral, Bill Stubblefield, is perfectly happy with a lot of water around.
Oh, I am. It's just like going to sea, Rob. Just looking, all you see everywhere is water, water everywhere, and all the boards just shrink.
The sea's coming to us today, I guess.
Sea's coming to us.
A lot of rain falling.
But we needed it. I don't know where we are at the aquifer just yet, but we were awful low there for a while. Need the water.
Also, let's say good morning to Maria Lawrenson. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here on this rainy Wednesday. Agree with Bill. All the mowers that are out there are quiet for a day, and maybe get back on it tomorrow, Friday.
I got 17 bags of mulch down yesterday. Probably have about that many to go as well. But I was amazed along the way how much the weeds have grown.
Yeah.
With all the rain that we've had.
Yeah.
You got weeds everywhere. I didn't even notice them until yesterday. I was happier on Monday.
Yeah.
That's what you get for working outside and doing something constructive, Rob.
That's the problem.
Stay inside.
Stay inside.
Yeah, and watch your...
Get a guy or a gal to do it for you.
Watch reruns of Cheers and forget about the weeds.
Speaking of Cheers, George Wendt passed away. Norm, right? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Right. Gary Wine, Steve Catlett, good morning to you both.
Good morning.
From the Berkeley County Commission, Steve is the vice president. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
And get a close-up. He is the fashion image that we should all do. Look at
the
that.
mic is blocking, but his mic is blocking his pockets.
Well, let's move that over. See that?
He can't talk, but we can look. How about that?
Yeah.
Now we got it.
But the question is, does he have the right watch on?
Yeah.
And does Maria.
Exactly. I have the right watch on. I had to go home for it.
Maria has her lucky watch with her today.
I do.
That's the watch she uses when she's in a big closing meeting.
Yeah.
Got a big deal. You got to have the lucky watch.
There you go.
Right?
There you
have
go.
the lucky watch. Yesterday, you folks took a cross-state trip. I understand Delegates Hornby, Height, and Horst were involved, as well as Mr. Catlett. You got a chance to drive some police cars. That's got to be fun.
It was.
When it's not involved in a dangerous situation, at least.
My dad was sheriff back in the 70s, and I never drove his car, but I got to ride in it a few times.
Yeah.
For good reasons. And,
Not in the back seat.
but I've never driven one, and it's pretty cool.
Now, someone actually had the audacity to pass you.
Two different people.
And it wasn't Height or Hornby.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
they were way in front.
Yeah.
They were way. We let them go first.
Couldn't see them.
I was the chase vehicle, and if the greatest part of the trip was to watch Steve get in and out of the little can they call it a police car. I mean, he conformed to get. It was crazy.
He's 6'4", Steve?
Yes, sir.
6'4".
We won't discuss my weight. Rather large.
I didn't say anything.
So the purpose for what, Gary?
So the Berkeley County Commission over the past years have always kept their ears tuned in to southern West Virginia or other counties in the state that have needs that maybe they can't facilitate. So most recently, when the County Commission declared vehicle surplus, they had 4 retired cruisers that weren't of any use to their fleet, so they offered to pass it out to the listserv around the state. Said, hey, southern counties, particularly ones in the floods, do you have any need for any help? And the phone started ringing, and hats off to Delegate Hornby and Delegate Height. They worked internally. It was in while the legislature was in session, so they spread the word too and came to the commission and said, hey, we've identified McDowell County. We were down there. It's McDowell, Mingo County, the town of Kimball, which is also McDowell County, and the city of Clay, the county of Clay. So they all got decent cruisers, one each.
What were the ages and miles on the cruisers?
So there were 3 2015s and one 2016 that ranged from about 85,000 up to about 135,000 miles.
Now, I'll probably get a comment on this in our Facebook section at some point asking, does this mean Berkeley County has to buy 4 new cruisers at Berkeley County taxpayers' expense?
No, sir. Their fleet, there were replacements. They'd already been replaced in the fleet and been declared surplus. So Berkeley County citizens have, in fact, bought replacement vehicles. But your fleet, in the last 3 sheriffs, had petitioned the county commission to migrate to SUVs for the safety, effort, space, and things of that nature. So this started many, many, many years ago. We're just nearing the end.
All right, very good. And in regards to the new vehicles, you said you've now gone to SUVs?
We are.
Which types?
They're Ford Explorers.
Okay, and is that county-wide now?
All of your police officers. There's a couple pickup trucks. There's very few. I think maybe one larger SUV, but 95% of the sheriff's department's fleet are Ford Explorers, ranging from 2018 to 2022.
Okay, very good. All right, so has there been a time when this has been done previously that you can recall?
We've done it a few times. I say we, the county commission, has done it a few times. One or two here and there. Typically at the end of retirement, they don't have any value for pursuit, right? They're pretty tired. But in these instances, these Ford Tauruses, they were lower miles, if you will. We usually get about 150 out of them. Now, unlike you, Rob, we can't get 400, but
not there yet,
right? But
he's close.
He is. It becomes a safety issue. It's not like a normal daily driver. I mean, we keep them in great shape, and the county commission dedicates a lot of funds to keep them that way. But at some point, they have to be declared surplus and passed on. We've auctioned them on many instances when they're just literally you don't want the liability, saying here's a gift, and so you auction them, and they've seen. Sometimes I saw a Dodge Charger. It was like a 2011 that was the first generation that these people like this motor. That thing went for $8,000. I mean, the wheels turned like this, and it said scrape the sheriff off of it, but they paid good money for them.
What's the size of the sheriff's fleet?
The sheriff has 68 sworn officers plus some ancillary stuff. I'd say he's probably all in about maybe 85.
Yeah, quite different than what it used to be. We used to have a summer fleet and a winter fleet.
You did. That hence the reason the county commission went and committed to all SUVs for the officers. So they didn't have cars for the summer, and then we had to go and get the winter fleet ready that had set and batteries were dead and tires were bald. So it was a smart decision and a significant investment.
Do other counties do the same donations to other counties in need?
Happens all the time.
Yeah. So you all you donated. Did you get anything in return for those?
They in kind donated them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how it came to be that everybody got to drive them from down to the hinterland, so to speak.
Gary trailed in the minivan to bring all the kids back home in time for dinner.
A couple times was nervous, like, oh no, but it was okay because people, if you aren't a police officer and you aren't used to driving one of those things every day, people do really crazy stuff when you get behind them. Steve, he's in the fast lane and we're going right at the speed limit, 70, and he's pulling up and all of a sudden I see this car's like police officer and they fly over in front of me. I'm like, hey, it's okay. But it was crazy.
So we had
makes you nervous.
We had 3 delegates along with Steve driving the police cars. You said before we went on air that a delegate cannot get a ticket.
Oh, Rob said that, not me.
Is that right, Rob? I had not heard that.
I think they can just fly around 1,000 miles an hour if they want to.
And not get a ticket.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just throwing that out there.
Okay.
I'd say the odds of them yesterday in a police car were even less, Bill.
Yeah, driving a police car, you're doubly protected, man. Doubly protected. Let's talk about impact fees.
Let's say something about the car thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
House Speaker Roger Hanshaw was there representing Clay County yesterday. And I'll say this, my only comment is you couldn't believe how appreciative these folks were of what we did, the gesture.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm telling you, they were smiling from ear to ear, and they couldn't be more appreciative.
Were they in need from the flood damage and such, Steve? Was that the specific?
Clay wasn't, but the others were.
Yeah.
And they were so appreciative.
Well, it should reap benefits, not that it's,
Absolutely.
back scratching, not that
all.
any of that ever occurs, but can hurt.
So, and Chuck Horst has waited in. Delegates can get a ticket. So.
Yeah, you should be spreading rumors like that.
You say these things before we get started. And I believe you, Rob. I believe what you and Gary and Steve tell me. I've got to learn.
These are, I'm just saying something off the cuff, You don't take it as
Next time Mr. Stubblefield is in
There
a
you
car
go.
with the
Bill,
delegate.
this is a joke, Bill. This is just
That's right. That's right.
Don't believe me. Don't believe me this time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about impact fees because you guys are coming up against some decisions pretty soon. And the last time you were on, Steve, last week, you did read a breakdown of where you're going to be in Berkeley County dividing the impact fees over, I think, is it 5 categories or 4?
Well, there were 8 you could choose from, but 3 of them were, one was roads and one was water and one was sewer. So with the capacity improvement fees with our water and sewer districts, not needed. Mm-hmm. And of course the roads, the state takes care of the roads. So there's 5 categories left. County administration, law enforcement, fire and rescue, parks and rec, and board of education. And so we have the task of deciding which of those 5 if not all of them. In my mind, I'm on board for all five being supported. And we still haven't made the final decision yet on what that's going to be. My thinking is somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000 per single-family dwelling. So
All right, now,
that's where I am.
Last week you guys said you had a recommendation that it could be as high as 11.
It's 11.7. 11.7, yeah, is the total. And of that, the school board is over $7,000 per house. So they are the largest, about 68%. But Parks and Rec qualify for $1,700 a house. Tell me if I'm wrong. County administration was like $1,012.
That's correct.
$1,400 and something for fire and rescue, and then the sheriff is $374. And I think somebody asked, well, why is it so low? But a sheriff vehicle like we buy is less than $100,000. When you buy a new ambulance, it's over $300,000. When you buy a fire truck, we're talking $800,000 to $1 million now.
Yeah. So, but the 11,000 fee you're not going to use. You're going to go with the lower one of 6. Is that what you just said?
That's my opinion right now, and we haven't made that decision. But from talking to other commissioners one-on-one, I think that's where we're going to be in that ballpark right there. That's my feel right now.
So there'll be public hearings. Yeah. There's process that the commission will go through, and these decisions will be made in open session in front of the public with public comment available. So I do not believe, and I don't want to speak for the commission, but I can tell you casually that I don't believe any of them have an appetite for the max of $11,657.
Is there going to be any pushback against the impact fees? Have you heard from any demographic, any group? I'll
defer to Steve, because as I've heard all of the commissioners say, is they hear more, hey, we need them, than they heard they don't want them.
Yeah.
We had one meeting, Eddie and I, with one of the local developers, and it wasn't critical or anything. They understood why we were doing this, and they were just offering suggestions as to how they would like to see it go. But I don't think it's going to hurt, like you said last week, Rob. It's not going to hurt growth at all at that level.
It hasn't stopped it anywhere that I've seen it.
And then why, Steve, are you looking at 5,000 to 6,000 as opposed to say 11,000?
Well,
besides just the aversion, you don't want to tax.
Bill, you can change it from year to year, and we want to start out slow and work up if we have to, or we can regress backwards. So that's our choice. And I'd rather start out, and personally, I'd rather see us start out at a lower figure, and then if we need to increase it, do so, and see how it does affect the area and the economy and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you go too high, you can maybe end up with less money if you slow it down to the point where...
Well, yeah, the probability of slowing down growth between 5 to 6,000, 11,000 is not going to happen. Right. And the other counties, at least Jefferson County, is going to have substantially more. I would think it'd be easier to get the shock value over once and then not worry about it downstream. And plus we do have needs. It's been well identified we have needs, and this is something that's why I asked the question, has been pushback. I've heard no pushback at all. I think the citizens are receptive to this, and they will be willing. So I question 5 to 6 as opposed to 11.
The 4 categories that affect us direct, other than Board of Ed, or the other 4, the max we can charge for those 4 is $4,500. So.
Right.
And we're about we're probably going to be at 4 between those. Okay. So we're going to get the max for our needs. And now it's a question of how much do we do on the Board of Education.
Okay.
And in that process, and that decision process is really, Bill, just now starting, right? They've not even met as a body to talk about where they want to set them. So we'll see.
So that's my question then. So have you met with the school superintendent, with any of them?
The consultants have.
Okay.
But the county commission as a whole publicly has not met.
Okay.
Yeah, we had this discussion last time you were in, Steve, and you said there was a cap on how to. Is that a legislative cap, or why? Where's the cap?
It's a statistical cap. So the county commission hired a consultant that went through and took all the numbers and did all of the calculations and said, here is where they'll fit. The plan, if you go back to 3 meetings ago or 2 meetings ago and listen to the consultant deliver the request, there were some pointed questions asked. Well, how did you get here? Yeah. And we should share the report with you so you can see it, and it kind of explains it, lays out every step and how they calculated it.
So it's a recommended cap.
It is,
but it's not a mandatory cap.
Well, it can only be, the numbers can only be supported to that limit, to that cap. They can't collect more. You can't charge more than what you can actually stand behind and calculate.
And again, okay, I don't want to be whip this horse too much, but there's no legislative requirement that gives you a limit. This is all just based upon the your counselors.
Yeah, I don't think it's legislative at all, but I think just proven through the courts and what they see as the standard practice across the country, that's all that you can do, that they can stand behind an offer that you can collect.
Fair enough. Okay.
And
thank
just
you.
to review then, so that number that you quoted, Steve, that so regardless of it, if you're at 11 and change or if you're at 5 and change, your 4 categories are going to stay
Max.
pretty much no matter what.
It can
So
be close, yeah. And we can't go any higher, but we could always reduce it and go lower. Now, in saying that, the 2 categories that only qualify, Parks and Rec and the school board only are allowed to collect from the residential side of this. There's the non-residential side, the commercial side, and the other 3 categories actually can receive funding from those 3 sources, or from the non-residential sources. So,
Have you looked ahead, Steve, of the percentage that will come from residential as opposed to commercial? Is it going to be, say, 60% from residential, or do you have any idea?
the projected growth of Berkeley County over the last 5 years has been about an average of 12 to 1,400 homes a year. Okay, and based on those projections over the next 10 years, I would say, Gary, is it fair to say 2/3 of the funding will come from the residential side of the impact fees? I would put it in that area. Yeah.
I'm looking right now, Bill. So single family, industrial, commercial, let's just use law enforcement. So industrial's $202, commercial's $1,038. I don't see, I must have the wrong one. Bill, I better not answer. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm saying that, I could go back again, the 2 highest projected maxes are the Parks and Rec and the Board of Ed that can only receive it from the residential side.
Correct.
So there are the 2 top levels that we can go to, 1,700 and 7,100 and something.
We were told last week that there are there's more than one, I'll put it that way, development right now that is being planned out that will include more in each of these developments than 1,000 houses, whether that's townhouses and single-family houses, a combination, I don't know. Are you aware of those, Steve and Gary, and how many potentially are there going to be of these massive developments?
Well, I mean, obviously we've had that going on for quite some time, and but that's not done in a year. It's done over a series of years. You know what I'm saying? So they might build 150, 200 homes per year in that situation. It'd take them 5 years to get to the finish line. So,
but all of these homes would then be subject to this
right.
fee.
What you do, you'll pay the impact fee at the time you file for a building permit, and that's when it'll happen. So
So that could be a substantial amount of money coming to the county ahead of the houses arriving, so that you have the money in advance to fulfill the needs that these homes will create.
So to recap then, so the fee is paid when the building permit comes about, not when the homeowner signs on the dotted line.
Right,
So it is, quote unquote, the developer's cost up front for these things. So that makes a little more sense as to why you go a little more conservatively with the amount, because we have a lot of developers in the area, right?
Obviously, they're probably going to pass it along to the buyer. But some of the larger ones may not pass it all to the buyer. Who knows, you know? But I think it's just a good way to get into it and start out, and then make decisions later down the road as to if we want to increase it or whatever. So.
And there are serious restrictions on the usage of this money, right? This isn't a golden pot. I mean, it's defined black and white what you can use it for. So it's not. As
it's divided into those categories, do they have more freedom within the category to decide what to use it for?
No. It's defined.
Okay.
Yeah. It's people cannot be involved. It's capital projects. Police cars, fire trucks.
And it has to be justified, the expense, through new growth.
And who decided on those categories? Is that laid out?
It's the national standard. These are
Okay.
the standards. They call them buckets, if you will, and where it fits, and that's how it works.
And there's 8 buckets, and you can pick of those 8 buckets, I think is what Steve
You can
said.
pick 1, 2, 3.
As many as you
Obviously, we didn't need the water and sewer, and we didn't need the road, so
Yeah.
we have 5 remaining, and makes sense to address all those.
3 minutes left in this segment. I don't want to get into the park. We'll do that in the next half hour. The fiber optics issue in the county. Steve, what do you have for us? Or Gary?
I'll
Well,
let Steve kick it off.
they were here 2 weeks ago.
Frontier.
And addressed the commission, and it's been a frustrating couple years. We've been waiting for this to happen, but they're now have people on the ground, and they're working to install. They're going to reach 2,500 homes probably by the fall of this year in the western Berkeley County, Back Creek Valley area, and that's a wonderful thing. I'm sitting in my house Friday before last on a conference call with Charleston, an attorney there, and our attorney, on a stormwater issue, and my service is not working now, because I don't have good service where I live, and it's frustrating. And there's a lot of people. It's going to be affordable. And now Frontier is being bought out by Verizon, but that's not going to affect this program at all or delay it. So by the fall of this year.
Steve, not throwing a damp blanket on it, but we've been hearing optimism for Frontier for several years. Mm-hmm. It never comes through. What makes the difference now?
It is in fiber optics. It's working, and they've already proven it in other parts of the state.
Well, actually, in parts of the county, their fiber network they've been delivering now for I think the better part of 2 years. And if you ask any of their fiber customers, they're very happy and very satisfied.
Where's it been delivered to?
At Spring Mills area, it's been delivered as also in the Inwood area. It's in both places. They've been delivering it for several years. So back to the project that Steve's talking about. It's an $18 million project. The state, I think their contribution was like $6 million. The county commission's was $1 million, and then Frontier was the rest. It's part of the BEAD program. That's that federal broadband money that came through. So when the consultant was here and given the report to the county commission, when she left, she said, you send me any addresses that are in the service area, and I'll give you an estimated delivery date. First one I sent her was my address. I'm just curious to see. And I got a September time frame. And
How about Steve Catlett? When's his?
Yeah, I sent it to her this morning because I don't have it yet, but I'm excited if maybe it'll pop off while we're on the radio and say, hey, Steve,
but this
next year.
This leads a question: why that area is selected?
Why the west of the?
Yeah.
So,
30 seconds, good.
Passes, the amount of homes and people delivered look more attractive on the grant application than it did on the east side because there's less people served. So very rural over there, more attractive on the grant process.
All right, Steve Catlett and Gary Wine return in the next half hour. We're going to get into the Inwood Park, but more on the fiber optics if we need to continue on high speed there. And all right, hang on. Don't go. Now you go. There you go. No, I got it. You had to do the twist and flip on that. There you go. I'm pretty pumped up because Gary's like the tech wizard of Berkeley County. Like no one can stump him on a tech issue. But I figured out his headphones for him. I'm feeling pretty good.
And the front end part of that, Rob, is he messed him up.
Yeah.
He screwed him up.
My favorite
pretty good
part
right now.
is that somebody else is having issues with the headphones. Like I'll be midway through the program, and Rob's like, "Maria, your phone's on. What's going on?" And then I realized that one of
Maria
my headphones is on
was
the way out.
so flustered by them the one time she just did the show with her earphones sticking out instead of in.
I was just like,
You're
"Forget it.
actually
I'm just
muting your
done.
own hearing on that one. You'd be
I'm
better
just
off
not
taking them
doing
off.
it. Yeah.
This segment of our show today brought to you by CMA Honda. And if you're curious, 380,800. And by the Berkeley County Health Department's quick response team. We are in studio with the Admiral Bill Stubblefield. Welcome back, Billy.
Good morning again, Rob. And you wonder what we talk about off air. Trying to get Gary's
Mainly
headset.
it's the headphones. Yeah.
And also Maria Lawrenson. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good morning. Chris Strovel just sent me a photo of somebody actually mowing their lawn out in the gallery. I think this morning. I don't think it was him. That would have been a trick if he would have done that.
Was some pretty heavy rain at times.
I'll say.
Right. Berkeley County Vice President of the Commission, Steve Catlett, is here too. Steve.
Good morning.
County Administrator Gary Wine.
AKA don't know how to work on your own headphones.
Let me just say this. Before we went on at
It's all
8,
good.
Bill was figuring out Steve's headsets. And then at 8:30, I'm figuring out Gary. So, Maria, that means you get
Yeah.
Dr. Sax's at
next.
9.
Yeah, but while I was working with Steve on his, Gary was kibitzing to the side, actually poking fun at us and making sarcastic comments. So it's turnabout fair play.
It is.
Gary never does that.
Comes
Bill.
around,
You're
does it not?
exaggerating.
I am that. I'm embellishing, that's for
That's
sure.
right.
We were discussing fiber optic cables in the last segment for high-speed internet access west of I-81. Richard Dennis said contractors are installing support cables now for fiber installation by Frontier on Butler's Chapel Road.
They're out there. They're when they told the commission when they met with them a few weeks ago, one of the things was the commission wanted to start a campaign to say, here it comes, this is great. Remember, they're in business, so their concern is, they don't want to get too far out ahead, or the people that compete against them come in and try and get you in a 3-year contract. So when their fiber becomes available, you're already tied up. So it's a game, but it is coming. It's been about 3 years in the making. The county commission contributed their first $250,000 at the initiation of the contract. While we were on the road yesterday, I got their second payment, which is another $250,000, and that was when construction started. That's part of the agreement. So it is happening. They said once they're in full effect, they should do about 300 homes a month.
Oh, that's good pace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when's the projection for the county as a whole, every home in the county?
So remember, this was part of the grant process, so that the west side should be done in the next 16 months at most. We've already had conversations about opportunities east of the mountain. It's been happening over here naturally. It is, but you've got areas like Whiting's Neck and other way back in there that we have looked at and identified. The problem is they call them passes in the grant process, how many homes are passed as they run the fiber cable. And it becomes statistically not rewarding for the business to do it. And that's where the grant process comes in, because they cover that void, right? So we haven't forgotten, but they didn't want us making application for any other grants until this one was done. That was part of the process.
Has the climate changed on the federal level, where there's such a hard look at our budget? Has the climate changed that future grants will be more difficult?
Well, I can tell you that is absolutely the case, that there's the processes and the opportunities for applying. Even the windows of time have slowed down. The county commission just got notice yesterday or day before yesterday. Region 9, Rachel Snavely and her team keep us apprised of opportunities. The SAFER grant, which allows for firefighters to be helped with and gotten to, as well as the COPS grant. I just had a conversation with the president this morning about Sheriff Blair asking could he apply for the COPS grant. So I would guess to say the county commission probably will reapply for the 12 firefighters through the SAFER grant and potentially 5 deputy sheriffs through the COPS grant this time around.
So in what you're saying, though, nothing's really changed. They still
Just
the application.
The application,
Yeah.
the processes have changed. We saw it slow down, almost went stagnant for a couple months, but it's moving. We just got some awards for some things last week, so our grant writers work hard, both do a great job, and I think as we continue to move forward, we've seen great rewards in those processes.
Let's move on to parks, and Colin has the Inwood Park in the queue, so go ahead and slide that over, Colin. Thank you. We have the former head of Parks and Rec in Berkeley County, fortunately, to be able to explain
The
some
legacy.
of these things to us.
The
Steve
legacy,
Catlett,
Steve Catlett.
now the Vice President of the Commission. Steve, the folks in the south end of the county probably are saying the last thing we got down here was roundabouts. It's about time we got something new. And here comes something.
They said that about a rec center too, and we finally got that when Randy hit the lottery. So thank goodness he did. So,
Indeed.
But this is a long time coming and needed so much in that area, and the people are so excited about it. And we apologize for how long it's taken to get to this point, but we should be going to bid
Days.
any day now
Days.
to get this project started this year. And We think we have enough money in place to do about half of what is projected in the proposal, which is almost $6 million that was going to be available to spend in this first phase. And then what I'm really hoping is that once we get the first phase in place and people can see how nice this is going to be, that we'll get more support maybe from the business community to sponsor certain other segments of the remaining.
Tell us what we're looking at on the graphics.
Yes, please.
So if you get Colin to go to page 2, that's really what's coming.
All right, Colin, go ahead to page 2. There you go.
But
Thank
this
you,
is a
Colin.
project in Inwood.
That's right.
It is right across from Musselman High School.
Okay.
And the people are so excited about it. And the first phase will be the entrance, of course, into it and the parking, but also we've got a grant coming to the feds for $600 and some thousand for the trails. There'll be a nice paved trail through the entire facility. There'll be a large grass area for recreational use. There's going to be pickleball courts. Gary and I drove into town last night from Charleston, and we went by the pickleball courts on Baltimore Street. And
Underwater.
it was packed.
No, they were full.
No, it was packed.
Oh, good.
They had cleaned
Good,
them up
good,
and they
good.
were playing.
Packed with
Okay,
people. And so we need more. And we're going to have, there's going to be a large pavilion built. That's gratitude of Macy's. They donated monies for 3 pavilions. One is in the new 901 park down in the north end. One additional one to be built at the Poorhouse Farm later this year. And then one for the Inwood Park as well. We're looking at some restrooms, of course. We're looking at not the large playground area, but a smaller one. And then, of course, there'll be a stormwater pond developed, but it's also going to be one that'll be used for fishing. And the water district came in, fortunately, and was drilling wells in that end of the county to try to find water for the south end of the county. And so they've drilled a well on this property that they're not going to use, but we're going to be able to use it and utilize it to keep the fishing pond at a level regardless of the drought.
That's nice. It worked out.
So it'll work out great.
Yeah.
And so what have I missed, Gary?
I mean, there's the trail. You have an amphitheater in the back. The phase 2 amphitheater. There'll be a
Dog park.
Bicycle park on the backside. It's going to be quite the
BMX.
complex.
How many
BMX.
acres are we talking about here, gentlemen, altogether?
Just shy of 45, I believe,
Wow.
Maria.
And when is the expected ultimate completion date?
Phase 1. So
The entire thing.
no idea. So we only talk about phase 1 because that's all the money we have. I would suspect phase 1 done this time next year. So the park will be able to be used in the summer of 2026.
And who are you using to construct?
So CEC is the consultants that have helped the plans. They'll go to bid, we hope, Maria, by end of this week. So we haven't picked, or the county commission hasn't picked a contractor. Everybody's excited, as you've heard Steve say. It's awesome to, someone says parks and his eyes change. It's almost as impressive as his granddaughters. But when you say parks, he gets there. Not quite there. But Maria, to your point, I mean, the walking trail, the parking area, the pickleball courts, as we all know, the multi-use field to the northwest area of the park, the fishing pond. I mean, it's long overdue on the southern end of the county.
So I know the next question Joe Burton would ask is, right, who do I hire to staff this park, and where does that money come from, Steve and Gary?
That's going to need to come from the county.
In the commission, well aware, the commission told Parks and Recreation at the end of this, they understood that there was cost to maintaining, so the county commission is prepared to help support that.
Do you have a proposed budget for what this will
But
be?
whatever it is, hope Andy Blake's listening. Hey, Andy, the county needs some money. No, we don't know. So you're talking restrooms and mowing right now. There aren't any facilities that would need to be managed by staff at this point. There is a concession area and things later to come. So I would think in the beginning, Steve, and you correct me if I'm wrong, short of mowing, keeping things cleaned up, probably minimal cost,
Right.
Will this park have anything that any of the other parks don't have in regards to exclusivity of this park?
Eventually, in phase 2, there will be a spray park, all ground level spray park, which is really a nice feature. It's like $1 million proposed budget. The amphitheater, of course, they're people down there are really excited about that. It's like having, so they can have concerts like we do at War Memorial Park every Thursday night all summer long. They can do it on the south end as well, you know, and they're really excited about that.
Will any of the impact?
The BMX is new. We don't have a BMX.
Oh, that's cool. Anything
So
else?
that's cool.
What's a BMX now?
Bicycle.
Bicycle.
Bicycle,
It'd be
okay.
like a dirt path trail with different obstacles on it and what have you. And there's one in Winchester, down in Winchester, and it's used heavily. So I think that'll be a good feature. There's going to be also in phase 1. There's going to be a disc golf course, 18-hole disc golf as well. So it's exciting. It
Can
really
you
is.
bank any of the impact fees toward the further completion of the other phases of the park?
I think we'll be able to justify some.
Potentially.
New because of the new growth, we're needing this and can justify it. Yeah, we're hoping, for sure.
Right.
Rob used the term bank. With impact fees, how long can you bank?
6
some
years.
money?
Have
6
to be
years.
spent
Okay.
within 6 years.
Yeah. So the entire project cost is, you said,
Just around 13 million.
and you have 3 right now.
We have 6. So
Six,
the
okay.
county commission has about $3 million worth of grants, and we start the process this afternoon of preparing to sell $3 million worth of bonds to support and get it started. So initially, out of the gate, it'll be a $6 million project.
Okay. And you say you're breaking ground when?
We hope to go to bid in the next day or so. We should be under contract, I would think, by probably July.
Midsummer, I would think.
Yeah, so midsummer.
Oh, very nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
If there's no further questions on the park, let's move to property tax rollback, because Bill was involved in some of this as a county commissioner, and he says he still needs more explanation as to how it works.
Yeah, it says Gary explains it, and I should be able to understand it. I'm
But
going
you
to have to. I do not. You'll have to explain it again, Gary.
Well, his ability to explain technical things has now been diminished after I saw him fumbling with those headphones, Bill.
It's the main reason it should be abolished, because nobody understands it, not even our legislature.
Going back to Gary's performance for the headphone, that was embarrassing, Gary.
If you really want to see
Just
embarrassing,
watch it.
break the Rubik's Cube out and watch me turn it around in circles.
I think we can patent this thing and sell it
If
for a
Bill
toy.
ever has an issue with his headphones, we are never going to let that go. That's for sure.
That's the one thing I've been fortunate with. I have not had earphones problem. But yeah, the rollback there. And Steve made a very good point. Nobody can understand it. Need to repeat it.
You want to do it, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, you go. You start. You're a lot smarter than I am.
No.
It's
no.
hard to understand.
So, back in the late '80s, a process. Well, it was actually before that. So, it all started when
1990 to be
in
exact.
1990 when the assessors were tasked to reappraise every property in the county and bring everything to a standard. I'm not going to point fingers. It doesn't matter where, what, or how, but around the state, you may have had Bill and Maria lived in the same place, a couple houses apart, and your house was assessed at $5,000 and Maria's house was assessed at $300,000. They looked the same, but the assessor was your friend and not so much Maria's. Well, they standardized that. They said, listen, everybody has to get to this standard of assessment, and in an effort to protect the taxpayer at that point, they put this in place and said, listen, while you're bringing bills up to Maria's amount, your taxes would have went from the $5,000 but clear up based on so this rollback protected that and said, listen, counties, the revenue you're about to collect from the taxpayers, because everybody's going to be brought to a standard, we're going to stop it so you can collect no greater than 103% of what it was the prior year. That was the whole purpose in it. So this is where it starts to get confusing. So it starts at 101%, but then the assessor, as you well know, for their evaluation fund gets 2%. So it's 103% greater than the prior year. If in fact that growth, it grows greater than 103%, everything has to roll back to less than that point. And that's
To less than what point?
100, it has to come back under 103%.
103. Okay.
Yes, sir. And that's done by the county commission lowering their levy rate so that their revenues are no greater than 103% of what they were the prior year, property tax revenues.
So what's changed, Gary? What's different now?
So what's changed is now the reappraisal was done. By statute, the assessor has to appraise the county broken down into thirds. Every 3 years, you get you get reevaluated every 3 years, no matter what, and they have to be between 90 and 100% of appraisal value market. They have to be there. So they're at 90 to 100%, 10%. They have no choice. And Larry was in and said he's where, Steve?
He's about 95.
95.
They have to be between 90 and 110, right?
90 and 110.
You mean Larry Hess?
Larry Hess, the assessor. I'm sorry. So the protection is there now. The reevaluation is done, the heavy lift is over, and they have to be between 90 and 110%. The need for that protection is gone. You can't, there is no extra burden on the taxpayer. What happens is, and it only matters in a growth county, right? It doesn't matter if your property values are stale or worse yet, declining, but in a growth county where you have growth demands, the county commission could use that, but they can't get it because it just stays. So, we're different. Jefferson's different. Monongalia, Putnam, and I kind of forget there was another one, and I don't know what it was, but those counties could use the extra revenue. Berkeley, you have heard the county commission say over and over and over again, they would dedicate any extra revenue to public safety. That's the demand. That's where it's at. You've heard them talk about the public safety tax. They said on the air 100% of that money would go to public safety. You have an overwhelming demand for fire law and EMS in Berkeley County just because of the population growth. The demand is in housing. Those people need emergency services. There is no extra revenue generated. There's no extra revenue calculated or collected. You run it up to 103%, and let's just say it was 107%, so 4% greater. You can't have that. You have to back up to go less.
Where's it go if you can't have it?
What happens is the levy rate that's applied to the value is just lower, so it doesn't
not-
go
it's not
anywhere.
collected.
It's
Never
not
collected.
collected.
My first year in office, we had to roll back. It cost our budget $800 and some $1,000, and you don't lose it for 1 year. You
It's gone
lose
forever.
it forever. So you get penalized for growing. You have the growth, and you need the extra revenue to handle the growth, and you lose it because of the rollback.
So that kind of change, and you're talking about taxes, and when you come to a county with 55 counties and you've got 4 or 5 that are affected, it's really hard to get the buy-in during the session to make the change when it doesn't affect everybody as a whole. But boy, it's very hard on growth counties.
Do you have the support of our local legislators? Do they understand the issue?
We think so. We some of them do.
Some for sure.
Some do. Some maybe not. But I'll say this. What was funny? I got a call from Morgan County commissioners this year. Hey, Steve, tell us more about this rollback because we just got hit for the first time ever.
Right.
I said, interesting. Now you're all on board, right? Yeah. And Hampshire County got hit for the first time. So now other counties are starting to.
I'm sort of having some PTSD because I remember in the 90s when I was at the Journal trying to write about this and trying to explain. I mean, it's hard enough to do it when you're talking to someone, let alone put it in writing and really explain
And
the
be
whole
formally correct,
assessment.
too.
Yeah, the whole assessment piece. So.
They back in the mid 90s they corrected the issue that they were trying to correct with this rollback. So it's been antiquated for 30 years now.
Exactly.
And it's just it makes no sense.
And it does mean that Maria's home that got reappraised this year went up in value. So yes, you did pay more property taxes. The levy rate wasn't different. We didn't raise anything on you. Your house assumed a greater value, therefore the tax on the house was greater.
Correct.
The county commission is not increasing taxes at all. It's
But
not a
people
tax
don't
increase.
understand that, I mean, which is
But-
what you're trying to
But
explain.
more money
here.
comes out of their pockets, so you can understand what they think, right? Well, wait a minute, you're going to take more money, if you're a legislator and the county commission's screaming that they need funds, and, well, wait a minute, you're going to take more money from my constituent. Well, in theory, yes, but the value of their stuff went up. Right?
There's a lot of different revenue generating proposals have been mentioned. One was the safety tax that we talked about the last legislators. We've talked about the impact fees. We're talking about the rollbacks, and there are probably others as well. But the regular citizens will say, what is the county doing? How much money do they need? You did not get the safety tax. You did get the impact fees. You have not gotten the rollback yet. How much does the county need?
Well, if you've listened to the president and vice president over and over and over again, they talk about 70 police officers and about 40 firefighters. That's what the county needs. That's just public safety. You take someone like Steve, who is a lifelong Parks and Rec person. Ask Joe Burton, ask the Parks and Rec board what Parks and Rec needs. So they feel these demands. The demands are from the public. They don't sit around and make this stuff up. So Sheriff Blair says, please, I need 70 to meet national standards. Chief Roberts says, hey, I need 40 more to meet NFPA standards as we get ready and we do this. So again, the demand of public safety that is provided through the county commission, that's where it's at. They aren't asking for more staffers or anything like that. The county commission, and I got to tell you, the clerks, the assessor, all of them work very lean. I'm very proud of the local government, the way it's staffed.
You're making a compelling argument. The argument's been made before. Has this, I'm sure it has been, but for your marketing, has this been quantified? Have you been able to say, and then cross-reference it against the safety
Sure.
bill and the like?
We have on multiple occasions, yes, sir.
Don't
Well-
forget school resource officers.
Yeah.
That's part of the 70.
And the
What is
hard
more
news
important
stuff,
in this world
Yeah,
right now, in
exactly.
this country
Yeah.
right now, than that, protecting our school kids?
From a legislative standpoint, though, I'm looking at Mike Hornby's comment where he says, "I brought up rollback last session. You would have thought I murdered someone."
You gotta love Mike, right?
Because does it fall in the same bucket, if you will, as locality pay? Because if it's only affecting growth counties, how are we gonna sell this to the rest of the world, or the rest of the counties?
I don't know. We saw a little bit of light with the data center efforts coming locally, and you saw what happened with other people. Also saw that light and said, "We'll go ahead and put our hands in that pocket." So it's challenging, but that's good. No one wants to see a government that's bloated and overfunded and just putting money away. They're challenged. They work hard every day, and if President Goganair were here, he'd be telling you, we're flipping over rocks. We're flipping every rock over we can do. So if anything, I would hope that the public sees us not struggling, but working hard to find what we need and not just trying to take stuff, right?
The people we need to hire require salaries and benefits. You can't use impact fees for that at all. Okay, that's out of the equation. The 1% would do this. It would be a stable source of income that when you hire those people, you're going to have from one year to the next. And as the population grows, guess what? It grows with it.
Yeah.
And it would be a way to do that.
Yeah, I'm not the one you need to convince.
I know
because
that.
I'm
And
fully
I
on
understand
board with
that.
this. I think we
Right.
should do it. But there have been folks, and we see it on our Facebook
Sure.
audience. There's some folks that are not yet convinced.
Right.
And yet we've had this discussion several times.
Sure.
As an elected official, Bill, when you were at the county, what was the most important thing you as a commissioner is what? Keeping our public safe. And with the amount of deputies we have, with the lack of school resource officers we have, with the lack of firefighters we have, and we need help to keep our community safe. That's our first responsibility, first and foremost.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, thank you kindly for your time this morning. Always appreciated. And tomorrow morning you have another meeting.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, what time does that start there?
Well, which
We're meeting
Which
with the
one?
judge at 8, aren't we?
8.
And then with 9:30,
9:30.
our commission meeting.
9:30.
Very good. All right. Hey, thank you both.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Steve Catlett and Gary Wine as we head into the top of the hour here.